going to be looking at twin topics today, which will be heated first on the Tinubu's $2.2 billion request, a loan request, and the act of ending the borrowing culture in Nigeria is what we are looking at in that regard. And just recently, the Senate approved the loan request by the president to go for 2.2 billion naira. And we have a history of the accumulated loans that has been secured by the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu since he came into office in May 2023. He already had $6.45 billion secured. And adding to this, we have about $8.65 billion already. And this particular aspect of the loan request is to fund the 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit of the 2024 fiscal year, and what could be the priorities economically that this loan request will be meeting. It's up for us to look at this, and basically as we go about the discussion, we also give room for viewers on independent television and of course listeners on independent radio to contribute on this. Quickly hitting the ground running, like politicians will say, starting with my guest, distinguished guest in the studio at my immediate left. I have the APC chieftain and a fine legal practitioner in the person of Gentleman Amego. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And next to the APC chieftain is also a lecturer, and he is the immediate HOD of the chemistry department of the University of Benin, and of course former ASU chairman Uniben chapter, and currently a sabbatical staff of the University of Delta, Professor Julius Iyasele. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me this morning, Philip. Good to be back here.
All right, riding still on this via Zoom, we have the opportunity to be joined by Honorable E.J. Agboanyima, former member, House of Representatives. Good morning, Honorable.
Thank you. Good morning, and good morning to my leader, Gentleman Amego. All
right, also joining via Zoom is the former special advisor to Edo State Governor on Youth Affairs, and is Shadrach Udubai. Good to have you join me, Shadrach. Well, I believe we will get the audio response from Shadrach as the show progresses. Let's quickly start with the first question, and Gentleman Amigo, it is built for you to take that to set the ball rolling. What do you see of the necessity, for the president to embark on this loan request? Of course, it has been approved by the Senate, but we want to see what economic priorities. We know basically is to fund the budget deficit of the 2024 fiscal year, but do you see it as meeting the gap or mitigating the gap of, actualizing the priorities of our economic growth as a country?
Well, you have almost answered the question. We can borrow. The law allows us to borrow. But for what purpose are we borrowing? You see, these are servants that we have sent to Abuja. If you want to borrow, no problem. But what are you spending that money for? In some banks, before they give out loan, they send a staff of theirs to go and monitor the way the money will be spent. All we hear in Nigeria, we are borrowing, we are borrowing, we are borrowing. For what purpose are we borrowing? Yes, the World Bank can always give us money because we are viable. Ability to borrow is ability to pay. But if ability to borrow is ability to pay, why not go to Haiti? Go and give them loan in Haiti. The World Bank or the IMF, go and give them loan in Haiti because they will pay. Because we have so much to offer in Nigeria, these developed countries want to impoverish us. So whenever we have some money, they easily give us. Look at what you might ask yourself, what of the oil that we produce here? Our oil has been mortgaged for so many years. So when we produce, those people there who want to impoverish us, just take the proceeds of the oil. So now we are borrowing. We need to do XYZ. Quite all right. But by the time they get the money, will they come back to Nigerians and tell us this is what we have done. This is how far we have done. We have borrowed 2 billion. We have spent 1 billion. We still have another 1 billion in our kitty. That's the problem we wanted to tell us. If you don't tell us, we then assume that you are borrowing to eat up. They eat the money. Those charlatans in Abuja, they eat the money. If you are not eating the money, tell us what you are spending the money on. Look at the road, East-West Road, 14 years. For one road, 14 years. The road has not been completed. And yet we are borrowing. Look at railway line. We have mortgaged all that we have for railway line, only for them in Abuja, Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan. What of the other parts of the country? Are they not in Nigeria? So my problem, sir, is not that we borrow. I agree. We must borrow for development, particularly this digital age. But our people borrow money to chop, borrow money to eat up. That's why we're asking them.
Unfortunately, this is of a new administration under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which is of your party. And some have expected that, being that is the APC party, that comes with the slogan of a renewed hope agenda. There could be hope, at the end of the...
I'm not the public relations officer of the APC. I'm here in my own capacity.
Yeah.
The APC are the people who come and defend their policies. You can invite them. If you want their names, I'll give you. Invite them to come and develop their policies.
Okay.
Tinubu probably means well for this country. But the other charlatans we have in Abuja, they give unholy advice to Mr. President. And Mr. President falls prey to all this unholy advice.
Thank you.
So I don't know where we are going.
Thank you for your objectivity. It's always expedient that we speak truth to power. And I must thank you once again for having this as always an opportunity to speak truth to power. Let's get your thoughts, Professor Julius. Do you think differently, or is it for the economic priorities or the growth of the country?
I can't be thinking differently from Uncle Amego. Let me, first of all, thank him, because I've paired with him on air, and then for his forthrightness always, in spite of the fact that he is of the APC extraction, but he comes here and gives objectively the way the facts are. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Prof.
The truth about it is clear. US, United States of America, is the highest borrowing country. And yet, they are not insolvent the way we are. The dollar is not pummeling the way the naira is pummeling in Nigeria.
Yes. Why?
The people are not hungry in the US as we are hungry in Nigeria. People are not able to sustain so many things, including businesses folding up in the US as it is in Nigeria. Prices are not changing. Somebody told me that a tie that he bought in the UK 10 years ago had remained the same price there.
Yes.
But in Nigeria, because of the spiraling inflation here, the prices are different in Nigeria. However, let me quickly remark that that it is not compulsory that countries must borrow, because there are countries of this world also that are free of debt or loan. You have Singapore. These are countries that have not borrowed lately. If you look at countries like Norway and so on, they are there carrying on. But if you say, because some economists must tell you that as a country you must borrow. But if you argue like that, I don't understand why at a time Obasanjo with his ministers made frantic effort to clear all debt that Nigeria had. So now, if America is borrowing, who do they borrow from? Do they go cap in hand begging external bodies? Do they come to countries like Nigeria and all that? No. Because number one, morally, the hand that gives is always on top. And so if you go outside borrowing, of course, be ready to sway according to the decision of their policies, the way they want you to go. That is what it is. Nigeria should be able to, Nigeria will always listen to the US, they will listen to UK, they must listen to France, even China and India. Lately, they must listen to them because you are, the way you put it here, of course, you learn from them. You borrow from them. So what do you want to say?
Okay.
So I'm not, let me quickly add this. That when you borrow, you want to rejig your economy. Do you understand? You want to activate your economy. That is one reason for borrowing. Number two is that you want to fund businesses so that you can now, tax revenue will increase. Because it is not just to increase your tax without, rejigging businesses. And then maybe for other reasons also. That reason why you borrow. You can't just go to the market and borrow. Now, like succinctly, they want to take this money because they want to fund debt. Do you understand? We are borrowing to fund debt. Number two is to squander. That is what it is. That is the way we look in Nigeria. That is the way we are in Nigeria.
All right, thank you.
Before you go, please, there is one statement that is very common in Nigeria. Oh, supplementary budget, supplementary budget. What of the earlier budgets? How much are we assessed? Assuming that it was 100 billion. How much have we assessed?
Oh, yeah, to assess the performance.
To assess.
All right.
Put it against the performance.
Okay.
Before you talk of supplementary budget.
Let's quickly speak to Honorable Agboanyima, who was a member of the House of Representatives. And basically, these are issues that were tackled when he was on seat to make sure that he critically look at what the president brings on board. Now, Honorable Agboanyima, let's look at the sustainable plans. Let's look at the sustainable plans and the transparency and the government's, seeking for this loan request of 2.2 billion naira.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to our viewers and our leaders there. My father, my uncle, Gentleman Mego, and Professor Julius, thank you for your contribution. Let me say this to your favor, that we have to be very careful because this country belongs to all of us. Over the years, I've seen this country from 1999 to present. Yes, some of our leaders might meant well, but there are some serious cabal that is holding this country in the jugular, suffocating this nation to the detriment of all Nigerians. These are people that have stolen the resources, the wealth of this nation. Because of what I have seen in the area of both in NNPC, MPA, Central Bank, most of the MDAs and agencies in this country of ours, there are people sitting in the corridor making this nation dry that have stolen our wealth. Over and over again, I've said this on different fora. The issue of undeclared crude oil that left this country to global destination. I'm still speaking on it and nobody is hearing. Billions have been stolen, like the former Accountant General who stole over 211 billion naira. He was given chieftaincy title of president. The former governor of Central Bank, Mr. Mefele, I could remember when we investigated him, over 67 trillions of the stamp duty fee, that money went to voicemail. They could not account for it. Listen, yes, borrowing is okay. Borrowing, like others have said, in America, where I lived for so many years, Americans keep borrow till tomorrow. They borrow. They don't just borrow for the sake of borrowing. They borrow for reason. At least when we borrow in Nigeria, for what purpose are we borrowing? There's nothing wrong borrowing. When, like my brother said, since 1999 or thereabout, East-West Road is still not motorable. Come on, this is an aberration. Why? We have NDDC.
You are of the APC extraction, and you basically have always, encouraged, be proud to his election, the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You basically encourage others to join in the train to make sure that he becomes the president. Now, are you saying that you see him as not having the will or capacity to control the challenges or the people that seem to band around him that seem not to make it possible for him to realize these economic possibilities?
Listen to me, and listen to me good. Mr. President, President Tinubu is not the problem of Nigeria. He's not the one that created this problem for us. And him alone cannot solve the problem. He meant well, he means well, but there are still some cabal trying to derail the wheel of progress of moving this country forward. Yes, we have some people sitting at the corridor, making sure that this country does not move. We all collectively, all patriotic Nigerians must come together. Whether you are APC, PDP, or Afghan Labour, Mr. President is not the president of APC, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All hands must be on deck. Only him alone cannot solve our problems. As a matter of fact, there are people that are creating problems every day. And what do? They use the media to sabotage, to betray, and to baptize and bastardize Mr. President, giving him bad name. Listen.
Thank you very much. Let's get your perspective, Udugbai. Looking at the revenue generation that is poor at present in Nigeria, do you see the capacity of Nigeria paying back these loans, looking at the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
I'm very, very, very displeased with the notion. Some people keep making that statement that Tinubu has intent and purpose. Tinubu has the requisite capacity to make contribution to the Nigerian democracy, but there are other group of people behind Tinubu who are cabals. And I say, what baseless allegation? What mannerless statement without substance? For you to elect a leader and the leader fails, and you sit in your house and begin to arrogate blames to some nameless and faceless people due to the cluelessness and ineptitude of the leader they collectively brought into power. So for me, I see it as a cheap excuse. You see, the poverty and the ineptitude of this government has got into a crescendo. It is now obvious that even it's not visible to the blind or visible to the deaf that the country where we are today can no longer stand, because an economy that is solely dependent on borrowing to finance projects cannot stand the test of time. And Nigerians have been plunged into poverty and hardship. And at this material point in time, we begin to look at, to say where possibly where is the problem coming from. And if you look close, you see that it's an orchestrated plan by the All Progressive Congress. It's their side. That's how they manage themselves. They come into power, they borrow without recompense. They throw money at problem without sleaze or malfeasance. They throw money at problem. They do no strategy, no concrete thinking, no planning, and then they loot these resources, bring it to the country, move around it. They allocate it to a project that does not retain the value. If that business spends 2 billion naira erecting a project, the project will be less than 1.1 billion naira when it's completed. And we begin to wonder if this money is being taken to private sector. For example, a private sector invests 2 billion naira in erecting and financing a project, the project retains more of that value. The project is worth more than 2 billion naira. So for me, I just see it as what the All Progressive Congress has come to reinstate. It started now. It started during the time of President Muhammadu Buhari, when there was this ruthless one-ton borrowing and stealing of resources. And as if that was not enough, it was re-elected again. We keep reinforcing our failure simply because there are some persons who have now held the country's sway by INEC and the judiciary, and they can do anything as they please. And as such, when the matter has been brought to bear, they, instead of blaming the president for his cluelessness, they begin to blame some nameless and faceless entity. But we are in this together. We're going to suffer because there's nothing we'll say here that we even want to, that we help checkmate the rulings. What we have now, we have a National Assembly that is sterile, that does not have the capacity to make any contribution to the growth of Nigeria, who cannot think outside their own personal perceived interest. What they do is that they join the president to approve these loans and go behind closed doors to collect their share. So for me, I do not see any road for Nigerians unless we're able to get it out of the ballot, to eject the All Progressive Congress from power, put people who have the requisite capacity to make meaningful and productive contribution. Because for us, for me, the APC sees Nigeria as their property. They see our collective patrimony as their personal entitlement. And whenever they look into the treasury of Nigeria, they do not see enough money for them to enjoy themselves, for them to fret away, for them to empower themselves. They quickly go abroad and bring out more. They bring money, further plunging Nigerians into poverty, hardship, and penury. Today, the Naira is worthless due to the wanton borrowing of the All Progressive Congress. Today, we cannot afford the insecurity, pervasive insecurity, the economic downturn. There's double-digit inflation. There's massive unemployment because the Naira has lost its purchasing power. And today, people who are living abroad is not looking as though they are living in heaven.
Thank you, Dubai. Thank you, Dubai. You've articulated a point enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
But let's get back to you, Frank Amego. Okay, let's get back to you. Looking at the issues we have here.
Yes. Yes.
He seems to attribute the blame to the All Progressive.
No. In fact, after gentleman Amego spoke, and then Abrahima spoke, I said my day is made. And if not even for, because I've seen everybody coming to a realization. They didn't speak as party bigwigs because I know they are principal officers of APC, but they didn't speak like that. And, you know, for public speaking too, the way they presented their issue, we all know what they were talking about. If you care to look in between the lines. And so they spoke, and you can collect the facts and all that. The issue is that leadership is about, especially we're in a democratic setting now. There are people who give you ideas and facts and all of that to work with. Collectively, with your own, you'll be able to move forward. They succinctly have presented it that way. If at the end of the day, what is going on is that we're not having relief in the country, it means that the man who is leading the team itself is not doing well.
Okay, but don't forget again. Okay,
yes.
Okay, but don't forget again that this is the 2024 fiscal year budget.
Yes.
That is already having a budget deficit, and the 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit has been planned that this loan will be secured, to tackle it. So it's not just happening.
I have an issue to rest in my contribution concerning this APC. I don't want the way Shedrack has spoken. I don't want us in this country to break our ranks. Do you understand? They spoke, and they have said that, look, we are heading for precipice as a nation. That is the way they have spoken. Right. So if Shedrack continues on that line, we will break our ranks.
Okay. Let's look at the solutions. Gentlemen, amigo, let's look at the solution.
Yes. I want to claim I'm a chieftain of APC.
Yeah.
APC is not made up of nitwits. APC has so many intellectuals who can actually deliver. They are there, but they don't have access to power. So for Shadrach to just condemn APC, I think that's not good enough.
But the ones that had access to power, what is coming out from them?
Well, that was what you have to say.
Like it's expected that, being the president, he should be able to, think out of the box and find a solution to all of these problems. Because we seem not to have a way around ending the culture of borrowing in Nigeria.
I agree with you. That's what we are quarreling about. We can't continue to borrow and borrow and borrow. The project for which we borrow are not seen. I mean, it's lamentable.
Okay. So what's your way forward in this? Because we have the 2025 budget.
And
we basically also know that may also be a budget deficit in that. So what do you see as a way forward in tackling this culture of borrowing?
Go and borrow for verifiable projects. What do you want to use 20 billion for? What do you want to use 19 billion for. Let us know what projects you are putting this money. And then all of us collectively, we will monitor.
Okay. Let's join Agbayima, Iji Agbayima. Let's get your view, perspectives as per the solutions, the way out of this. Do you see any way out of this? Because gentleman amigo said borrowing is not wrong, just as others have also said that borrowing is not wrong. But let's look at the possibility of having a culture of borrowing ending in Nigeria. Agbayima.
Thank you once again. For me, every Nigerians, we need to change our mindset. We need a total orientation. There have often said that there are three tenets of political doctrine: loyalty, commitment, and participation. To be loyal to your country, to participate in those changes that will bring the dividends of democracy to the yearning of the people, and to be committed. Your commitment is highly desire for your country. Go to America, you see every American pray for their country. America today, you have Republican and Democrat. Election just took place. In Nigeria, we want to point finger to bastardize, but when you put the one finger at others, the other one, four, is pointing at you. I listen to my brother, my friend, of his opinion. That is his opinion. I also have mine. I am saying, Nigeria, we are sitting on the keg of a gunpowder. If we continue this way, because Nigeria is our own. Having listened to both Professor Julius and gentleman Mego, I think they were both on the right path. We are not saying everything is going well in this country. Things are not going well. But how did we get here? How did we get here was not created by Tinubu, was not created by me or you. Don't forget, we always say APC, PDP. No, you see APC member cross-carpeting to PDP, PDP member cross-carpeting to APC, or to ABGA, or to Labour. That is not the issue. We, as Nigerians, we should be patriotic. We must be patriotic to look beyond rhetoric that this country, if he fails, if his president fails, all of us fail. Because we have to put hands on deck to make Nigeria among the best countries in this world. It is
Thank
possible.
you for your articulation,
Iji
Agbayima. Thank you for your articulation. I'll be coming back to you, but let's quickly take the way forward of Shadrach Udugbai. What do you see as way forward in ending this culture of borrowing for Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Most times people want us to talk soft, but the problem we have is that we are not in a soft situation. This is a very hard time, and Nigerians are receiving it hard, very hard. And the idea of me coming on air to now begin to speak as though we need peace, we need to be patriotic, we need to be loving, APC, PDP, they are the same thing. And because, see, for me, we need to get it clear. For us to, see, the first thing, when a man finds himself in a hole, the first thing the man needs to do is to stop digging. How can Nigeria be in a hole? We bring a leader that was supposedly alleged to come and emancipate us from our pains and poverty. And the leader gets into the hole and begins to dig. And you say we should be talking soft, we should be lenient, we should be loving, we should be accommodating. For me, funny enough, if we okay, let us get this leader out and bring another leader that can take us out of this hole, they will say, no, we must put Tinubu there 2027. As long as we've seen that it's not just a Tinubu thing, it's an APC thing. They will say, no. Today, there's state capture. If the president is doing wrongly, the president is mismanaging the resources, what is not doing? Or do you think we do not have a three arm of government where there ought to be separation of power, the doctrine of separation of power and balancing of power? Those things have been broken and reduced to nothing. Those things no longer stand. There is nobody in the House of Reps or in the House of Senate that can challenge the will of President Tinubu and not get reprimanded. We've seen many senators. Ali Dume spoke out, but they whipped him back to land, removed him from the rank and file of the leadership of the House, and the man came back to beg, cap in hand. So what are we saying? What I'm saying is this: we need to reposition the system and get leaders back to power. What we have there is political buccaneers, bastardizing our resources, flirting them, whether you like it or not, whether you're a member of APCO, member of PDP, I don't care. But our trade today is that Tinubu has failed massively. He has captured the state and is using the tools of power, the instrumentalities of EFCC security to bully everybody to submission. Until we eject that leader, until we come to agree that the man has failed, that we need somebody that has more competence and character, that can reposition the nation, we are not moving forward. The idea of going to state manage the president. Let it not be seen that we
Thank you. You've articulated. Thank you so much for that.